welcome to TSP Weekly. This is your tech startup podcast for Thursday, July the 2nd, 2015. We are once again at the beautiful Communitech Hub. I don't know, say beautiful, functional. It's nice. It's
functionally
hip.
Beautiful.
Sure. My name is Darren Conley. I'm a local tech entrepreneur here in Kitchener and Waterloo. And joining me is my always wonderful co-host, fellow tech entrepreneur, Stephen Campbell. How are you today, Stephen?
I'm good.
Yes.
Happy day after Canada Day.
Yeah. What do we call that? We have no special word for the day after Canada
It's like
Day.
a day after donut. Still good. Discount.
It's like the Boxing Day equivalent of Canada Day for Christmas.
The sun is a-shining and the birds are a-singing. A day late.
Yes. Yeah.
But not $1 short.
Right. I should tell you, so we tried to go to a Canada Day thing. There, I don't know what we call it. Canada Day gathering, celebration,
event?
Fireworks thing, event, down by University of Waterloo yesterday. And I have a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old. And my 5-year-old, when we went, fell asleep in the car on the way and refused to actually fully wake up when we got there. So I was hauling like 45 pounds of 5-year-old child like over my shoulder.
Nice.
Up several hills and across several streets. And we get there and my 1-year-old was having a great time and stayed for about half an hour. And then my 5-year-old was like, I just want to go home and sleep. So we went home.
Yep. You got some exercise at least.
And we spent our evening watching a documentary about Roger Ebert on Netflix. So that's how I celebrated Canada.
Yeah. Well, kids are to be seen, not heard. So you did well last night then,
Of
right?
course. Absolutely. So now that I've told that big, long story, I should introduce our guests. We have 2 guests with us here today. Joining us are Miss Stephanie... I knew I was going to mess up your name. Stephanie Rozek?
Close.
Rose.
Longo.
Rozek.
Like the flower. There you go.
Right. Stephanie Rozek and Ben Rittenhouse. I didn't mess that one up.
No, you got that one.
Excellent. Stephanie and Ben are both here representing the Year of Code Waterloo region. And we're going to talk a little bit about what that's all about and what's going on. It's starting very soon. We're lucky enough to sneak you guys into the podcast before the major parts, the major event kicks off this weekend, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about that.
Pleased to have you.
Yeah, good to have you guys. So let's kind of dive into it. So first of all, what is Year of Code Waterloo region? I've heard about Year of Code kind of, I think last year there was a big thing in the US, right, where Facebook and people, or was it this year, or when did that happen?
So that wasn't Year of Code. That's you're probably thinking of code.org, which is...
I'm thinking of Hour of Code.
And they did the Hour of Code,
Yes.
So they do all sorts of stuff, particularly around CS, Computer Science Education Week in December. So
right.
That's what you're thinking of. There was a Year of Code last year in the UK.
Right.
Full of controversy.
Yeah, there was lots of controversy. We're going to be much better.
Why so controversial?
I think the person who was in charge of it didn't know anything and was overwhelmed and took off 2 months into it. Just dropped it all.
Just
and
like
they had all
disappeared?
this big support, and then nothing happened.
Wow, crazy.
Yikes.
So hopefully we can anticipate that not happening in the case of Waterloo Region. Okay, very cool. So what is Year of Code Waterloo Region then?
So basically it is a year-long campaign. It started yesterday.
Oh, okay.
On Canada Day.
Yeah.
We were at the UW celebration that you came to for half an hour.
If you saw like a family up on a hill eating some French fries and that took off really early.
There were a few families. We may have seen you.
There were a few.
Darren may have walked his sleeping child right by you twice.
Probably.
Yeah, it's possible.
Probably.
Did you have a booth there?
We did.
Oh, okay.
We did.
Cool,
we were
cool.
in the activity world section. So yeah.
Okay.
So basically we were there just raising awareness and doing a bit of teaching for kids. But basically the campaign, the Year of Code Waterloo Region, is a year-long campaign to increase tech literacy for everybody in the region, regardless of age, regardless of gender, regardless of economic status, all sorts of things. We just basically think that because Waterloo is such a strong tech region, we are positioned to be able to do that very well. And today we are in such a technological world. You know, everybody's got a smartphone in their pocket pretty much. It really will improve people's lives if they understand the technology a little better. Okay. So I should clarify, we're calling it Year of Code, and everyone's like, but I don't know how to code. I'm not a programmer. And I'm like, it's not... Yes, we will teach some people to code if that's what they want, but we'll teach some people how to use Skype so they can stay in touch with their grandkids. And we'll teach, parents how to, not program the VCR, but the equivalent.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
We'll teach moms because moms make 70, 80% of the buying decisions in a household. So we're going to teach them how to use the technology they use. So
Sure.
That's
Just about demystifying. Yeah.
No, it's true. So, and when you say year of code, like this is like from July 1st to July 1st, a whole year's worth of stuff going on.
It is a whole year.
Wow.
So we've been working on it since, I've been working on it since November.
Okay.
We officially moved into the Communitech space on January 5th.
Okay.
And so we've been working on it for 6 months. So the team's been growing. We had 2 plus myself in January.
Okay.
Now we've got 4 full-time, I don't even know how many part-times.
Wow.
5 to 10, and then a whole army of volunteers, which is growing.
That's awesome.
So,
And how is this being paid for? Is there sponsoring organizations and stuff?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So Communitech is actually our first sponsoring organization, which is fantastic. They've been really, this came about because of a chat I had with Ian Klugman in November.
Okay.
And so they came on
and
as
we should mention he is the CEO of Communitech.
He is the CEO, yes. For those of you who aren't sitting here in the Communitech Hub with us. We had a chat and discovered he really had a lot of the same ideas I did about tech literacy and engaging our kids and our youth primarily, getting more women into tech. I'm really passionate about that. So that's kind of where that came from.
Wow.
Well, that's huge to be provided with a space here in Communitech, and I assume a lifetime supply of goat stickers.
We've got a few.
Awesome.
Yeah, if you need some, I can hook
I've
you
got
up.
a blue and a pink, I think. I've got 2.
But do you have a green one?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need the green.
Communitech is, I don't know why they have the goat logo. We asked them one time and nobody could provide an adequate response.
Yeah, it's a good logo.
There's just a lot of various stories floating around out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. And the stories are probably all better than whatever the actual reality is.
Yeah, we need to come up with our own story for it.
I think so.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any animal, any logo kind of representation? No?
Yes.
So it's a funny story.
No.
Wow,
Yeah.
I had no idea I was opening a can of worms here. Yeah?
No, it's not. It's
okay.
A can of goats.
A can of goats?
Goats eats cans.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a connection. Yeah.
We are working on with another company in views on a little game for kids to learn basic coding ideas,
yes.
and it has a goat in it.
The avatar is the goat.
So we thought we'll make our little logo a goat, and that was just
February?
Before
Communitech came up with their own goat?
Yeah.
Wow, who knew there were so many goats in the mix in the tech scene?
It is the year of the sheep.
Yeah, okay.
So, it's kind of apropos.
Ah, right.
Muttonish.
For those who follow the Chinese calendar.
Which actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because the Chinese calendar has led to some mispronunciation of our name.
Right.
Because so many people call it Year of the Code.
Right.
Because they're used to saying Year of the Sheep or
Right.
That makes sense.
Interesting.
So when you're going to your website, you're looking for a different acronym.
Yes.
And it's just terrible. It's all tears after that.
I bumped into one of the gentlemen this morning. He was developing that application that you're talking about with the customizable goat, and when he explained to me that it's a customizable goat that kids use in this farming thing, I'm like, I haven't seen many customizable goats around these days, but it's a great way, I guess, to dive into code and learn how it all works, right?
Yeah, tech can do amazing things.
Yes, absolutely.
How would you customize your goat? Like a gray chapeau
I think
or a
you just
fedora?
bling
you
it
can
out.
you can give it costumes. You can change the color of the goat or the eyes, or
teach it tricks,
Interesting.
and then you teach it tricks, and that's how you get into the programming piece. So there's a lot of sort of if-then logic and algorithmic thinking that goes behind it. So the kids learn how to do that. Right. And the really cool piece is that it's browser based, and they have a special platform that various wireless devices in the same area can connect together. So at an event, say we have a big screen and the kids have their goats on their mobile device.
Right.
But then once they teach the goat a few tricks and get the hang of it, they can then jump onto the big screen and interact with all the other goats, and you can do tricks together.
Multiplayer goat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's pretty cool. They're gonna have a working trial, I think, by Saturday.
Right.
Rawls probably going like, "Oh my God, don't say that."
No,
we don't.
so good.
We think there's going to be a working trial, and we're going to be
Right.
doing a lot of test stuff this weekend, and over the summer we'll be talking about how they're building that out, and
Wow.
and so we're doing like basically paper testing to see how kids might use this and how to basically prototype it before you build the behavior in.
Right.
So
It kind of gives new meaning to the MMORPG, massively multiplayer online role-playing goat. Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
I like that.
It's a whole new genre. We're just going to co-opt the acronym for it. Very interesting. So what I've heard talk of this event on Saturday down at City Hall, Kitchener City Hall. What exactly would we find if we were to show up at Kitchener City Hall on Saturday afternoon?
Dressed up in our kid costumes.
Yeah.
Or a goat costume. You'd be very popular.
That's
Sure,
mine's at
sure.
the cleaners, but
You know
Damn.
how it is.
Basically, it's our official kickoff, our official launch party. So yesterday the campaign started because you don't want to go from July 4th to July 4th because we're Canadian.
Yes,
But we're going to be there from 1 to 4 in the afternoon, and we're transforming the rotunda into this crazy, chaotic space where people can come and interact with and play with technology and play with robots and Lego and learn how to program. And what else do we have, Ben?
We have a lot of our community partners everywhere from tech groups, libraries, showing off, their events throughout the year, which will all be under the Year of Code umbrella, and then some of the fun stuff that they have. And as Steph was saying, in the middle is just going to be a whole lot of interactive, fun things. The robots, hacked Kinect cameras.
Nerd Night will be there with the Oculus Rift, which is very popular. So get your tickets now. We're turning the City Council chambers into an Artemis bridge.
Okay.
So
a Starship simulator.
yeah,
Oh, wow.
it's really cool.
Is that using the Oculus? No.
No.
This is separate than that. Okay.
It's a
fair
separate,
enough.
and it's
Yes.
so cool.
Wow.
So actually, you can go to Facebook. So facebook.com/YOCWR,
Right.
and you'll see information about the launch there, like times
Okay.
and all this kind of thing. And we should have a link to the Artemis event, which is part of it.
Okay.
If we don't, we should go put that on before you post this.
Yeah, no, sure.
the
But,
Artemis is the Starship.
Yes.
Wow. How does that work? Can you tell us a little bit about that? The Artemis thing?
Like
Do you know?
I'll look it up on Facebook, and Ben can tell you about other things.
Okay.
One of the things that they're doing, it's a group of people who are really into
They're nerds,
Star
and they're
Trek,
awesome.
Yeah, of course. Sure.
nerds. But what's neat is they were saying that later on throughout the year we can have people, they will open up the code so people can see how they made this experience.
Wow.
So that's when I'll learn, I guess,
Yeah.
how they programmed it. I saw a bit of a video for one. It's really interesting. They really get into it.
Interesting.
It seems
All of the
realistic.
emails that we've received from them are in like ship officer speak.
Right.
It's
Right.
amazing.
It is fantastic.
It just makes me smile.
Some immersive role playing then.
It
Yeah.
is really great. I'm still trying to find information.
sounds
You
like
guys
a lot
gonna
of
have
fun,
a
yeah.
3D printer at all? You
There-
dabbled into that area?
Not for Saturday, I don't think. But although I don't know if the libraries definitely have some. And
Yes,
Yeah.
a couple.
yeah, no, I've been in touch with a few people. There's a lot of people doing that kind of stuff, and I don't know if you talked to Cam Turner yet and Make Her Expo people.
I don't think so.
But so
I didn't have their
Cam
sticker today.
and his wife Tanya have been running Maker Club for kids at the museum,
Ah.
and they're shifting now. They've rebranded it to Tinker Truck,
Okay.
and just going around. And he actually quit his job, and he's going to be doing stuff. And so they have a 3D printer that they take around and. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I actually have a 3D printed version of me. It's about 3 inches high. It's the coolest thing.
Wow. That's amazing.
So yeah, over the year
Yeah.
we'll have stuff like that. We're going to be running events all year, workshops, things for kids, things for adults.
Yeah.
July 13th is our first Women, Wine and Code.
Okay.
So at the Jane Bond up in Waterloo, and that one is an intro to websites with WordPress. So
Okay.
it's a really accessible, friendly kind of environment, just $5, and people can come in. So we're going to be doing those every month.
Does that include all you can drink of the wine?
It does not.
Oh, okay.
We want to be equal
Just wanted to
opportunities,
clarify.
so it's
Yeah.
kind of hard to choose,
Yeah.
to put all your drinks in for $5, and not everybody drinks. So
Fair enough. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
There's another reason to use the goat costume.
Yes, there we go.
yeah,
What,
that's
free
the after
drinks?
party.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Stephanie, I had the chance to listen to you on 570 just the other day, and I really liked how you talked about tech literacy, sort of evolving from an oral to a written to the
Yeah.
emphasis on reading.
Yeah.
So when you have some of these, obviously you have some events that are focused on women or on children, but when you have some of the broader events, what do you find are the most common sort of needs of Kitchener Waterloo? Are a lot of seniors coming up saying, how do I do the cell phone
They
thing?
are
Or is
interested.
it...
Now, they don't tend to come up. you kind of have to seek them out and say, hey, we're doing this thing, and do you know it's for all ages, and we'll teach you how to use your smartphone, and we'll teach you how to get those photos off your email and stuff like that. And then there's a lot of interest, I think.
I would guess, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, in kind of the senior circle of things, like a lot of them would kind of say, well, why bother, right?
Yeah.
Why would I need to learn this stuff?
Yeah.
Until they have a chance to play with it and try it out and see the value of Skyping with their grandkids or whatever it might
And
be,
that's
right?
what
Yeah.
one thing we are working on a program with a retirement home, Trinity Village, where they said, we have some people, they will never look at the computers. They don't care. And other people will go on it. They also said they're getting really a lot of requests in long-term care for Wi-Fi.
Right. Interesting.
So, and they are trying to increase their use of tech as well,
Right.
just not just for their jobs, but how they interact. So they did get an iPad, but they said, not everyone knows how to use it. So
Yeah.
being able, they know what their clients need, setting something up for us, we get in there. And then when other people say, wait a minute, you're talking to your grandkids? I thought they lived far away. They go, this is how I did. That will hopefully get other people. And that's the same with partnering with, we have partnered with all the library systems in the region. And they know their clientele and what they need. So they've been contacting us saying, okay, we have a group of seniors. They want to do this. Let's work together on a program that we can do. So that the people that are closer to them, it's not just, Steph or myself or someone else going, hey, why don't you come Year of Code?
Right.
It's these other people that go, hey, this, we've been working with you to make your life better. This is something that will help. Why don't you
And they
try
have
it?
They have those established relationships already, so they can get in there. I love when you mention like long-term care. Like I think that's such a, I don't know how unexplored it is, but such a great kind of niche for technology to work its way into. Is people who historically would be kind of segregated and isolated and not have the chance to connect with the outside world, and now through the web, through online options and portable hardware and the applications we have now, suddenly they can have a window into literally the rest of the human experience, right?
It really is. After we were in the Record about a week and a half ago, we got an email from a senior who, for medical reasons, is bedridden and only has an iPad, and said, I know how to use email, but I would love to learn more if you guys can help me. So that was a situation I never thought of before, and thought, wow, this is great to be able to go in and really improve his life.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and the empowerment somebody would have to open up that window is huge, right?
And
If
that's
they're
the thing.
bedridden,
Once people sort of are able to look at something and not be scared of it and actually try doing things, that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Or if you've got somebody there to help you, because it can be really frustrating when you're trying to figure something out, say on your computer, and it doesn't work, and you're like, okay, throw up my hands. I'm done with this.
Yeah.
But if you've got someone there to say, oh, you know what, you just missed the semicolon,
Sure.
or something, right?
That's right.
Just look at it this slightly different angle. So and
well, go ahead.
No.
oh no, I know you care. I was going in a different direction.
Oh,
So
no, I was just going to mention, and the fact that we have technology like the iPad, which is just simply like you touch what you want to do, right? As opposed to having to learn typing skills or hunting and pecking finger by finger. If somebody doesn't have that, it could be very easy to give up on something like that. But my 1.5-year-old knows how to operate the iPad, right? She can load up her YouTube videos and watch the playlist with the kids' songs, and she didn't have to read an instruction manual or learn how to type to do that. So,
And that's how we are looking at, I guess, hooking these people is you're like, okay, you have something like an iPad where, I just want to do this. I'm comfortable with that. And then once they get comfortable, you can start going more to figuring things out rather than, this says email, that's email.
Right.
You're like, well, what if I want to do something else? Now I have the confidence with this machine to do it, because definitely I've always felt the worst thing are people who are afraid.
Yes.
They don't want to touch stuff. So that means once you can find something to get them comfortable, they start exploring more. And it was when I first joined Year of Code, one of the things I brought up, I said, maybe for ideas for a curriculum, we should talk about all the things our parents have asked us to help them with, because I was the computer guy in my family, and just really, sometimes it seems silly questions.
Yeah.
Where I finally said to my mom, I was like, you ask me the same thing
Right.
every other day. You really need to learn. And she was like, no, I don't. And
I have you.
yeah, and so I stopped, but she got comfortable enough, and it's amazing because now she's flying on her BlackBerry, just going nuts. And I thought, this is amazing to see that you finally thought, yes, I can do this,
Sure.
and became comfortable with it, and it was empowering.
The confidence is such a huge thing. Even after, for myself, as trying to learn programming, going to Conestoga College for 3 years, only in my third year now. Does the sentence, okay, open up Visual Studios, not strike fear into me anymore. Like, just now, okay with that. And so nothing's changed other than the fact that you're more familiar with it and you're confident, right?
Yeah.
And
It's a
that's
mental
huge,
shift.
That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Because
for programming.
when the older generation was growing up, the computers really were things you could break if you touched them wrong. And so they always thought, okay, that's for one segment of the population. I'm not part of it. And then it was home computers, and they thought, well, I don't know, but the kids want it. They can do it, but I'm still not. And then now, again, with phones and tablets, it's presented to them in a much easier format that they get used to it.
It's true, and it's funny because I've seen we're talking about like parents and grandparents here. Like, so my wife's mom, the only way that she'll communicate with us now, that she lives about an hour away, it's not too far, but it's only Skype. Like, even when a phone call would be very easy, she'll call us on Skype using data rather than making an actual phone call. But she knows like Skype and email and Facebook. I think that's the full range of her, and that probably covers like 90% of what most people are doing anyway, like most non-techie people online. But I thought it was so funny when she was talking about she had to create a document one day, and so she went and typed it up in the email program and then printed the email. I'm like, there's like Microsoft Word, you can actually like format it nicely and stuff. It's not too hard. She's like, oh, really? I didn't know you could do that.
How much discovery do you guys have, like from young kids bringing new things to you?
It's pretty great.
Oh, wow, I never knew about that.
We get that, and you get ideas too. So when we were at the Canada Day thing yesterday, Tara, who's our director of marketing, was asking the kids, like, what would you want a computer to do for you? Like, just sort of blue sky, and because they come up with their best ideas. And one of them was like, well, I would want it to make coffee for me. And she's like, well, there's programmable coffee machines out there already. And well, then you get into the whole Internet of Things discussion. He's like, but does it know how to put the right kind of milk and sugar in? And anyway, and then his sister's like, I want a robot to program to make a sandwich for me. And but you do, there are so many tools out there that there's constantly things evolving, which is amazing.
That would be the best Sunday morning for me, is sitting down with sort of 5 or 10 kids and blue skying some technology ideas. I think that would be a blast.
Let's have a party and do that.
We should do another podcast. Just bring
I think that could be really fun.
Actually, bring some kids in and just get them to talk. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Listen, we want to talk a little bit about your own backgrounds and how you got involved in this. But before we do, we're going to take a quick break for our sponsor spot here. YOCWR is sponsoring the podcast, and today I think Steve and I are just going to talk a little bit about Igloo ourselves.
Yeah,
rather than
Igloo
subject you guys to a
they're
commercial.
getting ready to move offices. So that's kind of cool. So I think what we're going to do is once the office is moved to the new location, we're going to go in again, bring all the equipment, and pop our heads into everybody's office and bother them.
Get some people talking a bit more about the company. So for those who don't know, or if you've listened to the past podcasts and we're never really sure what Igloo does, Igloo has an intranet platform, not internet, intranet, that your company can make use of for internal communications and collaboration and document management and anything you'd want to do in your company's internal network. They have kind of a browser-based platform that takes care of all that for you. Stephen and I went in and talked to them a few months ago, did some interviews, and got fed like a room full of donuts I don't know. We were there on Donut Day. That's the most vivid part of that visit in my mind is
Yes,
the room full of
the
donuts.
Viking iteration was what they were working on. So we had some Viking coffee.
Yes.
Which was really cool.
They named the iterations of their platform after different things.
Yep.
And lots of Nerf guns around the office. Seemed like a really great place to work.
So
Seemed
they're a
like-
local
yeah.
company here in
Yeah.
Kitchener and Waterloo, and they are hiring. So go to their website and check them out. They've got a slew of different positions that they're looking to
Fill.
hire.
Yep. And like we said, they're moving to a new office, so they're expanding quickly, and hopefully that means lots of new space for talented people looking for a good place to work. So check them out. There's a link to Igloo off of the TSP homepage, tspweekly.com. Just look in the top right and click on that, and you can find find out everything you need to know. So
Yeah.
excellent. So let's get back into things with Stephanie Rozek and Ben Rittenhouse.
Nice.
Actually, after that commercial,
Yeah.
I realized I think what I want my computer to do for me is I want my intranet to give me donuts. I think that's a good use. I had no idea
Yes.
the technology Igloo was working on.
I'll
That's
get some
fantastic.
kids on that right away.
Yeah.
Amazing donut-based technology over there. So I just wanted to find out a little bit about your own backgrounds. And Ben, you mentioned that you were the guy who was kind of always, taking care of your friends and your family's computer problems. And Stephanie, I know you've been operating in this space here for a while too. So maybe we'll start with Stephanie because we've heard a little bit about Ben already. But what's your own kind of technical background? How did you find yourself kind of managing this year of code business?
So I studied electrical engineering at Waterloo.
Okay.
Graduated 15 years ago. And
There's no way you graduated 15
No, it's
years
true.
ago.
It's true.
You look like
I-
you graduated like 2 years ago.
I know.
That's insane.
I
Okay.
know, yeah.
Wow.
I was a prodigy. I was 12.
Oh, fair enough. Excellent.
And so I've worked in the tech space in different roles during that time, mostly here. And very interesting stuff. I really like to explain things, and so I got into tech training and tech marketing roles. And then 2 years ago started an organization called Academy, which aims to run courses for people to educate them about technology and programming and coding and building websites and stuff like that. And Academy, yeah. And the reason we started that is a friend and I were sitting around, and she and I had both worked in the tech space, and we're noticing, there's not very many women. When I was in university, there were 28% women in my first class, like my first year class, which is high. That was an anomaly.
Sure.
And there's just not a lot of women, and it started to bother me a few years ago. And how do we get more women and girls into STEM fields, so science, tech, engineering, and math,
Right.
or tech, which is more what I know
Right.
myself. So we started Academy with the idea of making it an accessible platform for everybody, regardless of any specific barriers to entry they might face.
Sure.
Yeah.
So when you say anybody, does that mean like anybody except the standard kind of like white males?
No.
Or just anybody?
Absolutely
Okay,
not.
Good.
I think there's a great space for running women or girl specific programs.
Sure.
But I really think, I have a friend, and until her daughter was told like there was some difference between girls and boys, she didn't realize that it was lesser to be a woman, right?
Wait a minute. It's less. Who told you that?
Well, this is the thing, but they are told it in so many ways, right? Like you walk down the toy aisles and you see the princessification of everything, and
Right.
and boys are encultured to go towards these types of fields more than girls, for sure. So I'm trying to just reverse that. But you want to do it. You want to present basically something that is a level playing field. You want to present what looks right. So it should be 50-50.
Sure. Yeah. Or even encouraging a lot more collaboration between women, but also between men and women working in the field, instead of it just being a boys' club like it has traditionally kind of been seen as.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
I've got a 14-year-old son, so right now the girls are so much more advanced than the 14-year-old boys. He just had his first dance.
Yes.
Emotionally advanced.
Emotionally, and they're more organized. They're just more mature, right? So it's interesting because at this age, when you're dealing with kids, because some of these guys they're not paying attention much,
Yeah.
But it must be a challenge for you to have the same age group and then have to sort of have some that have programmed before and then have some that have never.
Yeah, so we've been running kids and teens classes since February at the museum in downtown Kitchener.
Okay.
And we started having to subdivide the classes into different subject or different what's the word I'm looking for, levels of ability.
Yeah.
Right.
Because there was such a broad shift, even when we had them broken down into certain age groups already.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
sure.
so there's that. And
I see that at Conestoga College. You know, you have one sort of introduction to computing class, and the teacher has to teach to vast different arrays of skill sets.
Yeah.
Sure.
So much so that it's like, okay, you guys close your eyes and close your ears. Don't even listen to this because it'll just confuse the heck out of you.
Yeah.
You know, and that kind of stuff. And that's a big challenge for a teacher, I'd imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah.
You know, just getting back to like encouraging women in the tech fields. So last year I was taking a Ruby on Rails course online, and just to get some. I didn't know any programming, so I thought this seems like a low barrier to entry. I can teach myself a little bit about this going through this course.
Was
and
this Code Academy?
It wasn't. It was actually called Tea Leaf Academy.
Okay.
So they're based out of the States, but really good program. Not super expensive, not super cheap. Nice kind of middle of the road option. But as I was going through it, you know, I kept saying to my wife, like, "Oh, honey, like check this out," and I'm, you know, writing a little program that like puts things in alphabetical order or whatever it is, right? And the more that I was doing it, the more I'm like, honey, you gotta, like, you should sit down and go through some of this stuff. Like, I think you would really enjoy this. And I know from having lived with her for, you know, almost 10 years now, the way my wife thinks, and I think the way a lot of women think, is actually much more kind of systems oriented than I think most men understand. Like, I think women kind of have a good, a higher level of being able to look at a system and figure out what you're supposed to do within that system to be successful, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of men kind of like to break down barriers and do their own thing, and who cares what people think, but women seem really good at seeing a situation and saying, this is what's required to make the best of this situation. I know, at least I can speak for my wife. She's really good at doing that sort of thing. And so I've tried to encourage her so many times to get into code, and she's open to it. She just doesn't have the time. She's mostly busy being a mom to our 1.5-year-old at the moment. Which
so what's the answer there,
which is
Stephanie?
also
Like,
great.
how could Darren's wife
So
start? Does she
it's
go
challenging. I mean,
Yeah.
so the first thing from that is that women are taught to take care of other people, so they have less time. Like you just said it,
Right.
Yeah.
and that's just something that's there. And the other piece is that women are not encouraged to use technology in various ways. You know, the tools that we use. I mean, I'm looking at the mixer on the table here and this kind of thing. They're not friendly tools, and women are taught to look for things that are more friendly or softer or something, helping kinds of things.
Sure.
And so, and sometimes I think women are judged for their uses of technology if they don't use it in a right. Like I've seen people, oh, why are you doing it like that? And so they stop trying because why would you want to push against that? So it's got to be very encouraging, and they've got to have a support network. It was interesting you were talking about studying online, and I think maybe if you do a course that you're paying, then I don't know what kinds of supports you had with that. Like were the people you could talk to as well? And
yeah, they had their own kind of daily and weekly chat.
Okay, so that's really good
Because
you need the community is where I was going with that.
Yes.
I gather something like 72% of people that start a Code Academy course don't finish.
Right. Because you're just you by yourself.
You get to a point and you get to a wall and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so I think for anyone, but you know, women included, it's really great to have a community of learners around you to be able to raise your hand and go, what the hell, what's happening here? Can you help me with this or something?
Absolutely. And especially if you're working on a project together with a group of people, whoever that group of people is, I mean, there's such a higher level of bonding and connecting and learning that goes on, as opposed to sitting, you know, in your computer and sitting in your basement at a desk or something trying to hack away something yourself.
And that's how this is shown.
Yes.
You know, like it was really interesting. Some of the kids that came by yesterday, they were like, "Oh, you're teaching to code," and the one boy, he must have been 9 or something. He's like, "Can you teach us to hack? I'm going to hack everything." And like it was
awesome.
really cute. But on the other hand, this is what he sees in the movies.
Yes.
And he doesn't.
Sure.
The girls don't see this as a good thing. They're not taught that this is a good thing. And so
Right.
it's a big uphill battle, and there's not one answer, but there are people that are doing things right. So there's a woman named Maria Clave, and she's the president of Harvey Mudd College in the States.
Okay.
They're a small science and engineering school, and they took their intro to CS class, so probably similar to what you were studying, Stephen, and they flipped it around so that they could get more women graduating out of CS. And so they made changes, like they changed the language they were teaching it in. So instead of a C-based language, they switched to Python, which is so much more intuitive.
Right.
Like I remember my C-based language course when I started, and it was hellish because I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
They changed the title of the course. So, instead of Intro to Computing, it was Creative Problem Solving using Python.
Oh, interesting.
They changed the assignments so they were more real world based rather than, find the hypotenuse of this triangle and then, do all this trig on it and then code that.
Right.
They made it more go search for these information on Google and then put it into your program and do things with it.
Right.
And so they changed the curriculum hugely. And then they also looked at how they were teaching it. So Stephen was talking about the divide in skills and this kind of thing. And what they were seeing is, coming in, they'd have the kids who were like me when I was 18, who'd never programmed before, but were good at math and science. And then the ones that had done it. And they identified them coming in, and they split them into two groups. So the more experienced ones were in the black group, and the less experienced were in the gold group. Right. Because if you had to choice between gold and black, what would you pick, right? Gold is a nicer color, so you don't feel lesser because of that. And then they went further and they identified the students in the class that would, stick their hand up for everything and kind of jump over the other students' answers and act like they know everything, even if they didn't necessarily, right? Because that's a problem when you've got really, I don't want to say pushy, but...
Well, aggressive? Or,
not aggressive either, but a little bit maybe.
Okay.
Guys who think they know what they're doing and are very eager to prove that they're right, even if they don't necessarily know. They come off to all the other students like they do know, and the other students go, oh, God, this isn't for me. I don't know what I'm doing. Well, they don't realize that guy answering all the questions, maybe incorrectly, also doesn't know what he's doing. Right. It's all a perception thing.
Yes.
So they would take these students aside and say, hey, can you do less of that?
Right.
And let's make this more of a... even sort of a way to learn. And so word got out that this course was amazing, and students from neighboring colleges start coming, and it becomes really popular. Wow. The other thing they did is the students finishing the term and going into their summer jobs, they really pushed for the girls to get jobs where they could do programming or some sort of CS-related task. Yeah. They loved the jobs. They found that they could make more money in these jobs, and some of them started switching into CS. Wow. So now they have 40% women graduating in CS there.
Wow, amazing.
So it's
very cool.
A lot of it is just perception and how you market and the words you use.
Sure. No, absolutely. Yeah. I want to touch on something we mentioned a little bit earlier, and that was the idea of community and the importance of having a community around you when you're getting involved in tech and in coding. With the Year of Code Waterloo region, how are the events, or how are the different things that are planned for this year bringing that community aspect to bear on things? Can you speak to that at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing, which goes to, I have a suggestion for your wife. Right. July 13th at Jane Bond, Women, Wine, and Code.
Okay, right. Yes.
And that's people coming together to women coming together to learn. As for the community, I think there's so much, and one reason I think Steph wanted to do this in this area was there's lots of tech stuff. And I have been amazed at just how much, because there's tech groups, people that just have, similar interests. They get together and they meet once a month, or they have a space that they have members go out of, and then the libraries have identified people who meet there and never knew each other before, but they have similar interests, and we've partnered with all of these places because we may be running behind the scenes for the Year of Code, but it is actually everything going on in the region. So all of these places, we're getting their events and we're putting them on our calendar. Right. So you can come out to a Year of Code event, go, I really like that. I'd like to do, how can I continue? Right. You will see just what is happening in this region, and that there's so much to choose from, and there is so much that people didn't necessarily know about, including myself, and we're just going to make it all available and have people realize there's a lot out there and that they can access.
Sure. I would just, in my mind, I would love to see something like get a bunch of moms together who once a week decide we're going to learn to code and we're going to build an application like that takes care of a problem that moms regularly
the random
deal with,
lunch
right?
app.
Or we're going to get, a bunch of seniors together who, were afraid of using the computer, and we're going to create our own YouTube channel and, put up all the, the styling for it and create our own videos and just have like some amazing kind of, YouTube for seniors kind of thing. And those kind of things, I think, you need to have, like you said, people to kind of nudge people in that direction and encourage them and say, this is possible, right?
Yes.
This isn't something outside of your reach.
And it needs to be fun. You need to be doing it with other human beings because, we're organic. We are humans. We're not robots.
Right.
So you need to create these things. So we're running workshops and events and things like the July 4th party all year long. But as Ben said, we're curating all the other stuff that's already happening. So all the the Java meetup group and the ladies learning code and the girl geek dinners, just really pointing and highlighting these things that are happening in the community, and working with all the social agencies too to talk about what they're doing. So Kids Ability has worked with Conestoga College on this mindfulness tool for first year students who are on the spectrum.
Okay.
And to help them, if they're overwhelmed or something, they've got this tool to work with. So that's technology, and they're trying to get their therapists to use games and things like this and dealing with their children with autism.
Nice.
So all sorts of agencies are using technology. So we're going out and highlighting that, but also helping to find out how can technology make their lives better. And we may not have the resources to do anything with that right away, but at least we can gather that information. Speaking of communities, Kitchener is working on a digital Kitchener strategy.
Okay.
They started in January, doing sort of research on what other cities have done, like New York and Chicago, the smart city initiatives, that kind of thing.
Sure.
So they've just finished a plan and put that forth, like sort of what is their outreach plan, what is their consultation plan. So over the summer, they're doing that internally with the city employees, and then in the fall, they're going to start going out into the community and asking these questions. But we're already asking a lot of these questions, so we've been in touch with them, and we're very much going to be transparent, sharing any data we gather about what are the needs, what's already happening, this kind of thing. But regionally, we're interested in all the cities, all the
Yeah.
One of the things that Darren and I have been talking about is we're doing a couple TSP Weekly pivots. We're going up on YouTube and a couple things we'll talk about. But one of the ideas we've had and talked to several people about that just sort of lit a light bulb in my mind now is doing some sort of a startup contest where we sort of have a couple startups that we look at over a 3 or 6 month period, and we tell their story because that's what we're the storytellers, right?
As it evolves,
So as they evolve, and it just strikes me that we could do something locally and pick 3 teams: a kids team, a seniors team, and a women's team, to develop some sort of software, and then we could do that locally. And I think there would be support with enough people to sort of pick a team of 3 or 6 or 10.
I love
and
that
then we
idea.
could tell that story, and that might be something we should talk about off air.
We should look into it a little more.
Yeah.
So if anybody does that, 10% for Darren and I. Or was it 20%? We haven't talked about that in a while.
Yeah, it used to be 10% equity
Was it
we'd
10?
have to take in those projects, but maybe we'll take a little
Call
bit more.
us.
Yeah.
I was talking to people that were asking, can I volunteer? So by all means, we have a sign-up sheet on our website.
Yeah.
Please do. And they said, well, I only do this. I don't know how that will be helpful. And I said, well, we have a year.
Yeah.
We're looking for ideas as well. So you say, well, I can do this, and maybe I've shown my friends this.
Right.
Can that be something? And he said, well, bring it to us, and we'll talk about it, and we'll work on it.
Or we'll teach you something small, and then you teach that to somebody else, and you both benefit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I was going to ask, actually, is if people do have ideas for events or, an organization they might want to start that ties into the whole kind of philosophy of Year of Code Waterloo Region, what can they do with that? Can they come to you guys? And
Yes.
Is that part of your mandate to help enable those things? Yeah.
Yeah, send them to our our website, which is YOCWR.ca.
Okay.
Year of Code Waterloo Region.
Yep.
Or Facebook / the same acronym, or on Twitter, same acronym.
Okay.
And shoot us their ideas. We're looking for volunteers even just general event volunteers. They don't have to know anything.
Sure.
Or people that want to help us develop curriculum at any level, or people that want to help teach at events, or frankly, people that want to donate money. We are a charitable project now, so we can accept donations.
Okay.
So again, if you go to our website, there's a donate button, and I'm just going to throw that one out there because it's a big project. We're trying to reach 250,000 people. That costs money.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll throw that out there. What else are we looking for? Attendees, tell your friends, come to the events. I mean.
And what's the best way to kind of keep up with what's going on then? I guess we can follow you on Twitter and stuff.
Or sign up to the mailing list.
Okay.
And that'll go out monthly, occasionally more often if there's more stuff happening.
Okay.
But definitely. So if you go to our website or go to Facebook, all the information is there.
Okay.
That actually reminds me of something else we're looking for. We on our website, we are doing a blog series and are always looking for guest bloggers to talk about their experience or share information.
Yeah. Is there any specific type of person or experience you're looking for that?
It's basically anything. So we, students who want to talk about their experience learning technology, like maybe at a university level, or maybe a kid who's like, I just built a Lego robot,
Right.
Or a mom. It doesn't really matter. People who work in tech that want to talk about the tech scene, people who want to talk about women in tech.
Right.
We will entertain all people who can write somewhat eloquently.
Okay.
I mean, if your wife goes to Women, Wine, and Code, which I'm sure she will, and
I will
ends up
encourage her to do so.
Really liking it and making it, that can be a blog post.
Yeah.
Either you saying, I was trying to get her to do something and then she did, or she could say, I didn't really have time, but then there was this wonderful event on July 13th that I went to, and then that's a blog post. It's just
So when's that event? July 13th?
Jane Bond in Waterloo.
Working the plugs in.
It is
perfect.
There will be one in August as well. They're both sort of previews, and then I think we're running weekly in the fall, like getting into a little bit more in-depth stuff too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sauvignon Blanc,
cool.
Pinot Grigio, Chardonnay. All those
you pick it.
Yes.
Your non-alcoholic, your Pinots, your sparklings. Yeah.
We have, for TSP Weekly, we have a poker game that we run every
month,
whenever we feel like it, I guess. Has it been monthly?
Yeah, it's been monthly for the last year.
Oh. Somehow it
thanks.
feels longer between
Maybe not for Darren.
Maybe it feels longer. But which is not really a place you can come and learn tech stuff, but at least it has been a good place to build community with some of our past guests and some future guests, and
just shoot around ideas, right?
And get ideas and make things work. But I love the idea of community being built around tech literacy and developing tech literacy, because that's how a lot of the great startups out there just got formed by people meeting at some event and saying, hey, wouldn't it be cool to build a whatever, and then they go out and they start working together, right? And this could be the start of the next BlackBerry or whatever,
or even not. Like, I would say
whatever,
even if you are like the region of Waterloo, they all just got email. So the bus drivers have email. So even if you are a bus driver and you have no intent to ever start a startup and that's not really your scene, how can tech make your work better?
Sure.
What problems can they solve?
And which is another thing that we're doing, where we are open up to going into companies and teaching their employees certain things, be it how to a better use of email filters or whatever they need.
Sure.
There's all sorts of stuff.
Settings and,
I have one thing I'm working on. It's not for sure yet. I have some meetings to do, but we discovered there's a lot of new craft breweries surprisingly using tech.
Right.
We know there's one that monitors everything on an iPad. There's a couple that all of their machines run on Raspberry Pi.
Wow.
And so
they're using tech to brew beer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're looking at doing a kind of speaker series about that.
And other things in general.
And also
sure.
of places, you don't think you would need to have technical knowledge, but you do.
Right.
I learned that my friend works on an organic dairy farm, and it's all computer controlled. All the cows wear fobs. They
Wow.
they do. They milk themselves.
I thought you had a picture of them wearing fezzes there. Fog fez.
Yeah,
But even like you can imagine the cows reporting for work. Beep.
No, they do. They walk into the
Right.
milker
Like
area, and
Yeah.
it monitors, and then they get a little treat depending on how much milk they give. And the machine knows, they were in here 3 times already. I'm not going to give them a big treat. But they also...
That's really crazy. That's like the classical conditioning with the dog salivating,
Yeah.
but it's with cows
Pavlov.
lactating now.
They
And,
also-
I could just imagine walking in one day when the cows are self-managing and they're like reprogramming the treat dispenser.
Yes,
to,
they are.
yeah.
They control the door to go outside, and it closes. And the farmer went from shoveling manure to having to run this.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And it's just, you would never expect it, but it's amazing.
That's a bit of a learning curve, I would imagine.
Well, yeah. But
That's
there's just a
cool.
lot of jobs where you think, I could do this or I could do that. There's no tech involved, but it is everywhere. So
Right.
it is involved.
And it's not
Yeah.
scary. Like you said, that's a bit of a learning curve, and it is, but it's just a different tool. It's. I like to compare it to cars, right? You go to the mechanic and you say there's this noise, it's doing something. But if you
Yeah.
have a little bit of knowledge about cars, which is a piece of technology,
Yeah.
then you can speak a little bit more clearly and knowledgeably, and
And
not
not
feel
get
so
ripped off or
scared.
whatever, yeah.
I don't think
There's
they
a
actually-
noise coming from the flux capacitor.
Exactly. I mean,
I
that's
know
the one
exactly
thing
what that is,
everybody
sir.
should know. Yeah, but just
When's the
having
last
that.
time you put a banana peel in it, sir? Oh, it's been weeks.
Right, absolutely. That's the Back to the Future reference for our young listeners who might not have actually seen the movie.
Wow.
But,
There's somebody that hasn't seen that?
I watched, this is totally a tangent, but I watched a TED Talk yesterday where the guy giving the talk asked the audience how many people here have seen Back to the Future, and it was like a third.
Wow.
Wow.
And I think we older folks tend to kind of take those things for granted. But yes.
I think it's finally, it's great that this year finally, when
Yeah.
all of those tweets go out and Facebook
And
post
the
that
memes.
this is the date he went to
Yeah.
in Back to the Future is actually true.
it actually
it's
is,
finally
yeah.
going to be
I
true
think
this
it's
year.
October this year, right? Yeah, something in
So-
October. They should have some event for that. Maybe part as the.
We
part
should
of the
probably
year
run
of
an
code.
event. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
and that's
Back to the
actually
Future
would
event.
be
How to
a
debug
good,
your flux capacitor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And welcome them. You have a little
Yeah.
runway, like, they should be here any second.
that would be good for a learning on don't believe everything on the internet.
Yeah.
So
There
here
you
are all
go.
the dates that he went to in the movie,
This is see,
according
guys,
to the
We are
internet.
coming up with new content
Yeah.
just as we talk.
And there's
And
the
10%,
third use.
right?
Yeah,
There's the
10%,
third use
that's
for your
it.
goat
Yes.
outfit, too.
Perfect.
Come out of the
Excellent.
DeLorean in your goat outfit.
I really
Yeah.
think you should come on Saturday dressed in your goat outfit.
Yeah,
Just saying.
I'll see what I can do.
Okay.
I'll see what I can do.
I'll take pictures.
Perfect. Well, listen, guys. Now that we've covered Back to the Future, the goats, and everything in between, it's about time for us to wind down. I think we're going to skip the thunder/lightning round.
Yeah.
Simply because we're kind of out of time, and usually our questions are kind of startup oriented, and I think we've covered so much here today that no one's going to be lacking for content on this podcast. I'm very excited about what's going to be happening over the next year, guys. I can't wait to find out about new events coming up. I'm sorry that I can't participate directly in Women, Wine, and Code. Is that what it was?
Yeah, I had to
Right.
turn a guy down yesterday.
Yeah.
We're gonna do other adult events
Because
anyway.
I like all three of those things. My wife especially when it comes to the women.
I was
Oh,
gonna
nice
say, you're
save.
incriminating yourself now.
I know.
I don't think that
Jeez.
quite did it. I don't know.
No, fair enough. I'll dig myself out of that hole later.
Yeah. Maybe
But
you could be
anyway.
security or something.
Flowers, make
There
her
we
dinner,
go.
do the
There we
dishes.
go. Yes, that's what we're going to be doing. But anyway, let's do a quick wrap up here. We already mentioned, I think, the website, the Twitter account. We can follow what's going on, and
YOCWR on everything.
Right.
.ca.
Yeah,
perfect. And we
Yeah.
can put up some links to those locations, those destinations on our website when we put them up. And we mentioned this briefly earlier, but we'll just say it again. TSP Weekly does have a YouTube channel. Up until recently, there was only one video on it from back in March, but we are now putting all the audio up on YouTube as well. You don't get much video in the package. You're going to stare at our logo for the duration of the podcast, but you can listen to it on YouTube now. And we should, in the next week, kind of have everything sorted out with that. I'm still renaming files and putting in descriptions and links. So anyway, look for us on YouTube if you want to listen to us that way. And of course, we're still on iTunes and all those other places. So special thanks. Let's throw this out to Stephanie and Ben from Year of Code Waterloo Region and also Academy.
Yeah. I want to thank you guys because you definitely don't have these already, but they're wonderful Year of Code stickers.
Excellent. So I had to reach across the table and grab it. That's perfect. I will add that to my sticker collection. Perfect.
I'm a big sticker fan too.
Oh, Stephen already has one. He's cool.
Yes, he's.
I get around
in
my stickers.
Yeah, he's a bit of a sticker whore.
That's true. Proud of it.
And on that
Is that a word? Yeah, and on that note, let's wrap it up. Thank you to
thanks, guys.
Thank you to Communitech for letting us record in their space here once again, and thanks to you, our listeners, for joining us on another episode of TSP Weekly. Please feel free to send us your comments, questions, criticisms, or feedback. Our email address is feedback@tspweekly.com, or you can send us a message on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @TSPWeekly. So, for myself, Darren Conley, my co-host Stephen Campbell, and our guests Stephanie Rozek and Ben Rittenhouse from Year of Code Waterloo Region, thank you so much for joining us here today, and we'll see you all next week.
Thanks, Darren. Great job.